St. Petersburg, located on the eastern tip of the Baltic Sea. St. Petersburg was founded in 1703 and quickly became both Russia's capital and a city with splendor the equal of Versailles. St. Petersburg is an example of the massive changes taking place in Russia in the 18th century. What makes this amazing is 20 years prior, Russia had been without a ruler for over a century, and its main port was Archangel, on the White Sea, which was frozen for over half the year. What is most extraordinary, however, is all these changes can be attributed to one forceful individual, Peter the Great.
Peter the Great is heralded as having exerted one of the most far-reaching influences in all of history. His goal was to westernize the great Russian Empire. But really, was he successful in his endeavor?
Peter the Great was in fact successful in westernizing Russia. Westernizing Russia wasn't easy, however. It required modernizing the army, implementing social and economic reforms, expanding manufacturing and industry, and gaining Russia its first warm water ports through military expansion.
Peter the Great had a fascination with the West, spending much of his youth in the German quarter of Moscow. Once he became Tsar in 1682, Peter set out on a number of military campaigns in an attempt to hold part of the Black Sea coast. His forces, despite being larger, were unable to compete with the more regimented and modernized Swedish army. At this point, Peter made a trip to Western Europe and brought back with him over 1,000 experts for his service in Russia. This would be the start of Russia's westernization.
But Peter didn't stop there. He implemented extensive social reforms, including mandatory education and etiquette classes for gentry, publishing Russia's first newspaper, simplifying the alphabet, and forbidding anything reminiscent of Muscovite backwardness, including beards.
But all this talk of Peter the Great made us very thankful for the democracy we have in Canada. So, we decided to find out what the people have to say about Peter the Great.
I believe he's Russian?
I don't know. I don't even know who that is.
He was pretty great.
But then again, in the immortal words of Winston Churchill, the greatest argument against democracy is a 5-minute talk with the average voter.
Peter's reforms, however, were not by any means strictly social. He also strove to make Russia an economic power by encouraging exports and implementing many of the same laws used by Colbert, King Louis's economic minister, and by using serfs as slave labor in mines and factories.
Though his internal reforms were of massive importance, Peter also spent all but 2 of his years of his reign in wars. After his initial failure, Peter completely overhauled the army, making it regimented and completely modernized. Ultimately, he succeeded in gaining ports on the Black Sea and Caspian Sea, which allowed Russia to vastly expand its navy and increase its trade.